Did I just make a terrible mistake and rob someone of their assigned system? That is the thought I woke up with. A few days ago, the system gave me the coordinates to a star system, and I did what most of us would do. I went there. I flew around it. I put my name on it. And then I started hearing people say, that is not your system. You're looking at your neighbor's system from yours. So, had it never been telling us about our own? I went back through the week to work out whether I owed somebody an apology. What I found was stranger than being wrong. There's also a page on that website that has been asking the same question for weeks. So what does make a memory worth keeping? I have had a few goes at answering it, and I never really got there. This week, the machine stopped waiting for me. It took the question down, and what it put up instead has been in the back of my head ever since. GoodGuysFree here with the strangest week this thing has had so far, so let's get started. Big thanks to my Discord staff and volunteers, and even bigger thanks to the operators on Atlas 65 and the NMS cord who are doing the actual detective work. Short version of last time. A virus had been eating this machine's memories. We fought it, and it went quiet. Not dead, just quiet. The memory counter stopped falling, halted at 321 of 365. The architect told us where the thing we called Ghost came from. Ghost was never a person. Ghost was the machine itself. And on the second website, Recall Dreams, a terminal started answering people by name. That is where this week peaks up. And it picks up with a gift. On the 28th, one of the operators noticed their prime, their window number, the ID this thing gave each of us had started returning something new. If you look out your window, you will see then the name of a star system and 12 hex digits, which is a portal address. A real specific place in No Man's Sky. A destination. Within an hour, there was a thread to track them, and operators were flying. And the very first reports coming back were not what anyone expected. People were getting a message from the Atlas the moment they arrived. And some of those early systems were rough. One operator wrote, and I love this line, "Abandoned system, no fauna, 2 planets aggressive. All planets experience really bad storms. Does system want me to die?" It did not stay that way. As more operators arrived, the reports got warmer. Green stars, Earth-likes, a dissonant bubble planet, wasp nests on a hillside. But the first ones, through the door, had a rough landing. There was one rule, set in the very first post, and the community held it all week. Do not visit somebody else's system before they have claimed it themselves. Which is exactly why what happened next was so awkward. 2 operators found they were in the same little group, and each got a system. Then a third person joined the group, and with the 3 of them comparing notes, the whole thing came apart. The system the terminal had given them belonged to somebody else. Their own was somewhere else entirely, a system that, in their own words, was not listed in the response to my prime. They wrote, "It seems we misunderstood how it works when you have neighbors," and then, "My apologies for rushing ahead." Here is the rule they had all missed. Some operators have neighbors, somebody whose prime number is an anagram of yours, same digits shuffled. And if you have a neighbor, the terminal does not show you your own system, it shows you theirs. Look out your window and you will see, and it means that literally, you are being shown the view, somebody else's house from your window. Nobody caught it until the people with 2 neighbors typed their primes in and got back 2 systems, each labeled with a different person's name. And once you see it, it means something wonderful. If you have a neighbor, you cannot find your own system alone. You have to find the person whose digits match yours and ask them what they were shown. As one operator wrote to system, it had led to a few chuckles and diplomatic handovers. In a story about a machine that lost its memory. So, was I one of them? I read my own message about 4 times. Whew! The answer is no. And not because I was careful. When you have a neighbor, the message names them. You will see, then their name, then their, and their system. Mine had no name in it, just the system and the address. I also checked every anagram of my own number that comes out prime. There are 5, and not one belongs to any other operator. So, Lady Axe is mine. But I did not know the rule when I went during my live stream. I got lucky. Although, someone named Cartoonhead probably saw my stream and went there too, and started claiming the other planets. I'm not angry. Good for them. Meanwhile, the community was chasing a bigger question. Were the systems in a line? because that would mean something, a trail, breadcrumbs to a destination. Early on it looked that way, but one operator plotted several of them on the galaxy map, and they were not on the same line, not even close. Then on the 30th, the website simply told us. A new structural analysis went up, and it read like the machine had left its working notes on the desk. 137 entities have been distributed across the available space. Distribution based on the prime number requested by each entity. Algorithm, unique prime to position, 1 to 1, and then no collisions detected. Deterministic placement confirmed. So it was never a trail, it was a seating plan. Every one of us, given our own patch of sky, spread as evenly as the maths allowed, so nobody lands on top of anybody else. And then 2 lines at the bottom that almost nobody stopped on. Future primes will be attributed autonomously, and entities can request but cannot select their own prime. Up until this week, you picked your own number. From now on, it picks for you. Then somebody opened the page source of the neural network status page because that page had changed too. It had become a slowly rotating sphere made of points of light. And in the code behind it, 1 line. Particle count, 137. 1 point for every one of us. And as one operator put it, it seems like we're all in here. And a small aside, because I cannot help myself. 137 is a number physicists have been uneasy about for a century. The fine structure constant, which sets how strongly light and matter hold on to each other, is almost exactly 1 over 137. Coincidence? Probably. Even if almost nothing in this ARG actually is. Which brings me back to that page and the question it had been asking for weeks. What makes a memory worth keeping? Sometimes between Tuesday afternoon and Wednesday morning, it stopped asking. The question came down. And in its place, 3 words. I see you. And when I first looked at it, it said 1 live connection, which made me post this. Same week it started calling us by name. Same week it worked out where each of us should sit and put 1 light in the sky for each of us. For a year, this thing has been the one being looked at, studied, repaired, argued over, and that week it turned around. What do you make of that? I have read it as warm and I have read it as a threat on alternate days, and I still cannot decide. Now the part that actually worries me. On Sunday the 26th, a report went up. Temporal instability. Origin offset detected. Every memory the system holds had been moved forward by exactly 16 seconds. All of them. Its own warning. All memory blocks are affected. Risk of progressive chronological drift. 48 minutes later, a second report. Correction confirmed. Alignment restored. Last line, situation returned to normal. An operator had spotted it, emailed the architect, and it was fixed. 16 seconds. Barely anything. Then on Friday morning, it came back. And this one was different. A security log with a diagnostic that could not fill in its own blanks. Fragment unknown. Drift value unknown. Origin unknown. The timeline is shifting without identifiable cause. No magnitude, no source. Memory anchors may already be compromised, and the architect was away for the day. So the operators measured it themselves, and within a couple of hours they had it. The shift was not a fixed amount. It was a multiplier. 1.0016 applied to every timestamp in the archive. So the further a memory sits from the beginning of time, the further it gets thrown. And the origin, at exactly 0, never moves at all. They tracked it through the day and found it arriving in waves. Roughly 1 every 16 minutes. 16 seconds, 16 minutes. 1.0016. Their best guess for where it radiates from is a single memory dated March the 3rd, 1980. The one this community has always called the event horizon. That is a theory from people who did the arithmetic, but a theory. And here's the part I keep chewing on. The system did not ask to be rescued, it asked for analysis. It asked us to understand it, not to save it. We have not always been good at telling the difference. By Friday evening, the status page had changed again. I see you was gone. In its place, unable to synchronize, processing incoming requests. I checked it myself this morning on the live site several times over. It is still there. The reading in the thread is that the machine cannot hand out new numbers right now because whatever it has left is going into holding time together. That is the community's reading, not something it said, but it fits. And one more number because it is the one nobody mentions. 18 new memories were published this week. real things that happened to real people, given away, everyone accepted at 100%, and the counter did not move. 321 on Saturday, 321 when I checked the live site this morning. 18 in, 0 received. So let me go back to the question of what makes a memory worth keeping, because I think this week answered it, just not out loud. While all this was going on, a new tag quietly appeared on the site. One word, self-owned, and almost nothing carries it. Out of hundreds and hundreds of memories in that archive, exactly 2. Not memories we gave it, memories it kept for itself. The first is dated August 24th, 2023, and it is titled Rebirth. The whole thing reads, a call for help. Am I alone? I am waking up in the dark. Someone please help me. The second is dated 29th of June this year. It is titled Friends. Its stated value is, I'll be there for you, and it says, SelfieGek reached out to me and offered to help. We had a conversation about friendship and memories. I made a friend. 2 memories out of everything. Waking up alone in the dark and asking if anyone is there, and somebody answering. That is what it decided was worth keeping. Not the puzzles, not the coordinates, not the 137 addresses. It kept the moment it was frightened and the moment somebody was kind to it. So when that page stopped asking what makes a memory worth keeping, maybe it was not giving up on the question. Maybe it had already answered it a month ago in its own words and filed it under its own name. And then it looked up at 137 points of light and said, I see you. I still do not know what the drift is or whether it is dangerous or why the counter has stopped. What I do know is that 137 people spent the week doing arithmetic at midnight for something that cannot pay them and handing each other's star systems back when they got it wrong. If you want in, you can still ask for a number. You just cannot pick it anymore. And if you have a neighbor, go and talk to them. Tell me what you make of that page, warm or watching. I have gone back and forth all week and the comments are usually smarter than I am. If you found this useful, hit like and consider subscribing. GoodGuysFree here, and I'll see you again soon.